quadrantPoint, we want to add the following method to our point class. If you're unfamiliar with classes, there's a whole playlist in the description below the like button, chapter 8, where we go through all of this stuff right here. But basically we have this method and we want it inside of our class. We also have these private fields that we're going to make use of as well. So read through the instruction because it's pretty important. If you read through the instructions, we have about 4 cases we need to cover. And if we have cases, it's typically handled in like an if, else if, or else statement setup. And I'm going to start off with this back one right here. If the point lies directly on the x and or the y axis, return 0. This is pretty easy. We can start off our statement with if x is equal to 0 or our y is equal to 0, and this effectively makes it an and or. So if this is equal to, or x is equal to 0 or y is equal to 0, we're going to be inside of here, and then we're just going to return 0. That's what we want to do because that's effectively how it's asking us to code this part. Next, we'll have an else if. So if it doesn't fall into this condition, we need to go into our another condition. And that's when we want to return quadrant 1. That's when x and y values are both positive. So to check if they're positive, x has to be greater than 0, and y has to also be greater than 0. So we'll do and y is greater than 0. And then we're just going to return 1. That's the only thing that we need to return. We can really copy this, like here, come down here, paste it. Else if, let's look at quadrant 2. The requirement for quadrant 2 is that all points for x are negative and y is positive. So x is less than 0. Let's go again. And this time we're looking at the third quadrant, so we want to return 3. Else if, for this statement, it wants it to be less than 0, and y also has to be negative, so also has to be less than 0. Now we want to return quadrant 4. And you can have a condition here, but if you're a smart programmer, you'll realize that that's the only other statement left, right? So else would cover that entire thing. So we will have else return 4. So otherwise, we will just return the fourth quadrant. Let's submit this and see what we get. So we're running, and we've passed 7 out of 7 tests. So that's how we would look at this code. Pretty simple, a great starter for these exercises.